Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly K. This is Grizzly True Crime, and today we continue to look at the Delphi case. Ooh, things are getting very, very spicy there in Delphi. Not in a good way at all. There's a lot going on. So we will be discussing as much as we can about it, because I say that because there are so many documents that you can go down that rabbit hole for months. I've been looking through a link that was shared, right? The Ellen Superior Court link, and looking through every single document from the beginning. And once you start doing that, it reminds you of things along the way. And you're like, oh man, this is like, what a rabbit hole. So we're going to be looking at some of the latest documents. I'm going to show you a couple of clips as well. Of course, the biggest news you probably saw on my thumbnail is that Judge Gull now needs to lawyer. She has already lawyered up because the Attorney General has declined to represent her in the Supreme Court, that's a very big deal in my opinion. It seems like it. That seems like normally the Attorney General would be there by your side if you're a judge, you know, going to Supreme Court because people are complaining. But in this case, the Attorney General's like, no, thank you. You find your own lawyer. So that's what's happening there. Virgo, welcome. Christina, thank you for supporting the channel for 14 months and absolutely #justice for Libby and Abby. That's what this case is about at the end of the day. And I mean, I wish I could say we all want the same thing. I hope we all want the same thing. There's so much going on in Delphi that you start to wonder, does everyone want the same thing? We all want justice for Abby and Libby. And what does that mean? It means that the person that they believe committed these murders, or persons, because they've always alluded to there being more than one, need to have a fair trial. If they don't have a fair trial, if things are forced or botched or there's secrecy or weird little things happening, no, it's never going to be a fair trial, and it's never going to mean justice for Libby and Abby. So that really makes me sad just thinking of that. So here, that's my intention, is always to make sure that anything that I'm bringing up is because we focus on victims and their families, and we want them to have justice. They must arrest the right person. And maybe Richard Allen is the right person. How do we know? But make sure that you follow the right procedures. Remember, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just from the outside looking in, like many of us. And we could see from all over the world, something isn't right in Delphi. And a lot of this is now coming out in documents. So now it's gone from a gut feel to actual documentation and proof of what we've been sniffing all along. You know, so that really sucks. Okay, if you haven't yet, please like and share #Abby and Libby, or Libby and Abby, or Justice for Abby and Libby. Those combinations are great. #Delphi works as well. #Grizzly True Crime. Welcome to all my moderators. Thank you so much for everything you do. Welcome to all my patrons. I hope you enjoyed the video that I put up for you today. Willow and Fury and Forest Walks and all of that. And welcome to all my members, subscribers, and everyone who's lurking and might subscribe today. Eddie, don't worry. Thank you for being a supporter for 6 months. So the first document that I have up here is one of the ones, there's like documents just popping out almost every minute now. Just when I thought I had 20 million lined up for you, more came out. More. So this one, I thought I'll just put this one up first because it says, State of Indiana versus Richard M. Allen, motion for early trial. Because of course, with the judge basically just putting a foot down and saying, you know what? Richard Allen's former attorney, you out. Because I said so. I've also appointed my 2 buddies over here by the looks of it, okay? And they're now going to be his attorneys. Richard Allen's like, I don't want that. I want the pro bono attorneys. I want Bradley, Rozzi, and Andrew Baldwin. And she's like, I don't care. We're going to scratch that from the record. You've got these new attorneys, right? Well, if you thought that Bradley, Rozzi, and Andrew Baldwin were just going to walk away quietly, they're not. They're definitely not. They are fighting. And that's got to tell you something. They really believe, from what I could see, they really believe that their client is innocent. Or and or, of course, in doing things the right way. And it hasn't been going the right way. Sleuthy Goosey says, do you have all of them, G? Hello to you. I think I have all of them. If I don't, I'll go check on X as well. But I think so. I've got so many of them that even if I had all of them, I don't know if we could make it through all of them today, right? There's so much on my word. So this is motion for an early trial. The defendant, Richard M. Allen, by counsel, moves the court for an early trial within 70 days pursuant to Criminal Rule 4B1 of the Indiana Rules of Procedure. Respectfully, Richard M. Allen and Bradley A. Rozzi. So what they're really saying here, this is a little bit out of context to start with, but let me break it down. What they're saying here is, you want to delay the trial by a year, or you want us to go in Jan? Because we're ready, and we're ready to work pro bono. He wants us to be his attorneys. We want to be his attorneys. We're ready for trial in January. What are you going to do, Judge? And as we know now, okay, the judge has lawyered up. So there's that. Let me also, while we're showing this, I hope you'll watch the whole episode today because you're probably going to need to. There's so many things to look at. I don't even know. I like chronological things, but I'm like, I don't even know. We're just going to have to start and just go for it. Here is this affidavit that was also posted. Thank you to Grizzly Cat and to Matt for sending me this. State of Indiana, County of Hamilton, affidavit comes now. Mitchell Westerman, being first duly sworn under oath, and states the following information is within his personal knowledge and is true to the best of his knowledge. 1. I was in Attorney Andrew Baldwin's office building, waiting to visit with Andrew. He was in his office, either meeting with the client or on a telephone call with the door closed. I went into the conference room to wait. I observed printed copies of photo evidence on the conference room table. I took pictures of a few of them. Andrew Baldwin did not give me permission to take photos of the printed copies. He was not present, and he did not have any knowledge that I took pictures of the evidence photos. I am freely and voluntarily typing and signing this affidavit on my own accord because it is the truth, sworn so this 18th day of October 2023. If you remember the last hearing, the one before the Halloween hearing, Judge Gull seems to like Halloween quite a bit. Moving on, or just the case in general. Delphi, they seem to have big important things happening on Halloween. Weird. But anyway, the point is, on the 18th of October, this is what the one of the leakers, there were 3 disseminators of the crime scene photos, as we know, but I'm going to address that in a moment. What this leaker said was on the 18th of October. On the 11th of October, on the 6th of October, Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin emailed Judge Fran Gull, including the prosecutor, McCleland, and told them, listen, there's been a leak of some photos and some information. We believe it's now been distributed. McCleland said, oh yeah, I've already known about that for 30 hours. That's weird. Okay. So that's number 1. And then there was October 6th. On October 11th, Richard Allen wrote a letter to Judge Gull. I've got all the documents lined up for you. You could look at it later, us together. And he said, okay, I'm aware of the leaks they've told me, but please, can they stay my attorneys? On October 18th, the leaker said this. On October 19th, Judge Gull just said, nope, sorry, you're fired. And then told the world that we've had an unexpected turn of events. Amy Lee, welcome to Grizzly Supporter. So, okay, let's say that. Now, you may have heard me say a few times throughout the coverage of this case, especially since recently, every mistake is being pinned on the defense team, in my opinion. So I understand it's bad to have photos out there. It's their responsibility to keep it safe. Don't let it leak. But I maintain that these photos were leaked a long, long time ago. People have talked about them for years. I'm not saying 2 wrongs make a right. I'm just like, it's not like, oh, for the first time ever, there's been a breach. Let me show you a clip from December 2022. So just hold on 1 second. Now we're going to look at a couple of random clips pretty much so that we can get through that, because I've got a whole bunch of information to show you. Then some articles, then some documents. Okay, look at this.
Describe what you've seen. Take us there. Take me, everyone watching tonight, to that scene.
Note the date. I've been going on about this for a while. This is what I mean.
And describe for us what is where and the significance of these locations. Chris?
Sure. Thanks a lot for having me today. Honored to be here. I just got the crime scene photos. I just received these within probably 48 hours. So
interesting. And yet, so this was December 3rd, 2022. It's one example of many of people online saying, I've just received the crime scene photos. We've seen it on Reddit. We've seen it on interviews like this. So suddenly, when the defense team brings up all this other stuff, they're bringing up the motion for the memorandum to support a Frank's hearing or Frank's motion. I always botch that whole little phrase. Sorry about that. But you know what I'm talking about. That whole 136-page document we went through with the Odinism and all that stuff, right? And the crime scene and how it was and all those details. The first thing I want to say is, when people say, well, they just released all these people's names, that is so wrong of them. No, it's wrong of the court. The court has done that so many times. They even did it now. There's documents that I've had to sit and redact for hours today because they've got McClelland's phone number on, his email, Bradley Rozzi, Judge Gull, everything. They just release stuff, okay? I don't see them ever actually redacting anything. There was once upon a time where they didn't want the PCA, the probable cause affidavit, out. Then they redacted it and released it. Later, they released an unredacted copy and then said, whoops, take it back. So, my point is, when they released all those names, the court released it. People are like, the defense released it so that the public can see it. Yeah, I don't know if they intended to release it like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, it was released with all the names, yes. But what I find strange is if this is such a big leak, why does it go to one YouTuber and one podcast? Why? If it's a leak, it's a leak. You know how the internet goes. Anyway, that sounds a little strategic to me, especially with McCleland being like, oh, I already knew about that. I know already. Gentlemen, we're going to read his emails, okay? I redacted them. Okay, let's listen some more.
It's all brand new. I'm still processing what to make of it. It's a little sad, and it's going to be emotional for the families, for the public to see these. And I am going to bring them forward. And I guess we may not show them today, and that's okay. But these are the articles of clothing that were found in the creek.
When you talk about articles of clothing, does this suggest that there may have been some sort of sexual aspect to what happened to these young girls based upon the clothing that you saw in these photos?
I can comment a lot more even about the actual murders themselves. We can wait for that if you'd like, through the Leo whistleblowers that we have.
Leo whistleblowers, you say. Now, who are they? Who are these law enforcement officers that are whistleblowers? And why call them whistleblowers in December of 2022? Leo whistleblowers. Now, take what this guy says with a grain of salt, of course, but Leo whistleblowers. Okay, but then when the defense team's buddy down the line is sitting there and like, ooh, there's something in his office. Let me quickly take a couple of pictures and I'm going to send it to only this one YouTuber, 2 podcasters. Well, they're a team, right? Right. And now it's a leak. It's a violation. It's gross negligence. I don't know. Before this was called whistleblowing. It's very interesting to me. There's so much to discuss, honestly. I could go on for days. So, yeah, Maggie says, dear court, please stop giving G even more work to do.
I do know a lot about the murders themselves.
Let it fly. Okay. Let it fly, sure. Chris.
So,
let it fly.
But from the clothes, yes, it indicates, okay, yes, there was a sexual assault.
I don't know about that. This is contradicting everything everyone else has said, but let's have a listen.
For both victims, and there's some creepy posing and staging that occurred. But just to answer the first question is yes, the clothes in the photos, there's 3 of them. I have 3 photos. And these clothes do indicate that they prove that one of the girls was nude for sure at that moment. And I do believe through the investigation.
Guys, look at the date. I'm just saying. Everybody gets so flustered. This defense team, they did this. Now people know that one of the victims was nude, which is just, all those words are just horrible to say. And no, I don't get how people are like, you want the crime scene photos. For a year, my email my inbox has been, you know, a weekly, sometimes a monthly email. You want it? You want it? I got crime scene photos. You want it? And I'm like, I don't want it. I actually just don't reply. I don't want it. Eventually, some photos of the clothing in the water was actually just sent to me without me even replying. I don't want it. To me, it's not exciting to receive crime scene photos. So my point is, a year ago, this was already like this. Can you imagine over the years before that? Libby and Abby were murdered in 2017. This has been going on for years with so many people describing things.
That both girls were nude at one time.
Can you tell us more about what the prosecutor said regarding a second person who might be involved?
Excuse me? This was from, I don't have the date on this one now, months ago, with that probable cause affidavit. I think this was in February. When the probable cause affidavit was still sealed. Remember that? Like, and the defense was saying, can you please unseal this? There's really hardly anything in there. And the prosecution was fighting to, no, it must be sealed. It must be sealed. Remember also the prosecutor, McCleland, is very worried about the trial having cameras because people are going to make 15 to 30 second clips, and he's worried about the deep fakes that they could create. I'm like, that's the least of your concerns, bro. Deep fakes and 15 to 30 second YouTube shorts. Don't worry about it. There's so much more to focus on. But right here, this lady said, can you tell us a little bit more about the prosecutor saying that remember that, they can't unseal the probable cause affidavit because there's more than one person involved and they're still investigating. Oh, but now you want us to be like, no, this is Richard Allen, chuck him in prison. There's no other option for him. Just put him in a prison, not in a jail, not in the Cass County jail, which is right across the road from Bradley Rossie's offices, close to his family. No. We're going to put him in a maximum security prison, and he's going to be treated as if he is one of the most dangerous criminals in the country, segregated from everyone. Maybe he's also in danger, I understand that. But chuck him in there, don't look back, and that's it. That's not it. All along they've said there could be more. So let's listen again. Listen here.
Were nude at one time.
Can you tell us more about what the prosecutor said regarding a second person who might be involved?
Well, that was news to us. So whoever was in that room listening to the prosecutor talk about a second person, that's news to us.
At that point, it was news to the defense team. And now when the defense team starts digging through the discovery and saying, wait a minute, what about all these guys? And what about this? And what about those interviews? And then the prosecution suddenly starts doing DNA tests again because one of those guys mentioned in their 136-page memorandum was interviewed on a YouTube channel called Sleuth Intuition, I think it is. So his name is out there. That was Patrick Westfall, right? One of the Odinists. Was literally interviewed on there. I don't know if you've heard the interview. If you haven't, go check it out. It's very interesting to listen to what he says. They literally are Odinists and all that. It's not made up. But when the defense starts saying, wait a minute, there could be more than one person involved. Oh, now they all have a fit. And then it's like, nope, gross negligence. You did this and this and this, fired. It's weird. Okay, sorry, continuing on.
I got to tell you, I don't know a whole lot about this case. I'm learning and learning and learning. There's people that have podcasts and all kinds of stuff that seemingly think that they know more about this case. And certainly, I'm glad that I'm coming into this case without a whole lot of knowledge about anything. I don't have any preconceived notions. I don't like to look at evidence with some preconceived notion of what it might mean. I don't know what anything means, but this second person business, that there's another person involved, I think somebody had heard something on a podcast. Somebody had told me that there's a podcast or a news article that says something about that. Then there was somebody, you mentioned the name of somebody, I don't know who.
Kegan Kline.
Kegan Kline. I mean, you may think I'm, an attorney. How do I not know who Kegan Kline is? I've heard the name, but I don't know who Kegan Kline is. I don't know if that might be the guy that did. I don't know. I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah. And this is, I think, one of the reasons it says.
Okay, couple more clips, and then we're going to dive into a few articles, which will be kind of like layman's terms of the documents. We're going to then deep dive, okay? So we're doing layers today. That's the way to describe what we're doing today, because there's so much to talk about all the time. This will be an ongoing conversation on this channel. So if you like that and you haven't yet subscribed, do that, okay? Become part of the conversation here with us. Amelia said, thank you so much for your sticker, by the way. You said the defense can't submit docs to the court without naming names. They can't keep persons anonymous. Otherwise, it could just be non-existent people. Court's at fault. Exactly. And they've done it many times. As I say, even now, there's things in the documents that have just been, I don't know, released in a huge Google Drive type folder, like a massive amount of documents to now sift through there. And even there, nothing is redacted. Absolutely nothing. We could literally call McCleland now on his cell phone if we wanted to, if I didn't sit there redacting it. It's ridiculous. Thank you so much, Amelia. And Lucy says, these people are so shady, including the judge. At this point, I'm like, especially the judge. And wait till you see who the attorney is that she just hired. Because I was thinking, whoa, now that she has to go to the Supreme Court, and the Attorney General says, I'm not willing to represent you, lady. You're on your own. I'm like, oh, but you already called your friends to now be Richard Allen's new attorney, so who are you going to call next? Oh, no, she called another one. She's got someone to represent her now. I see there's quite a few people submitting complaints to the Supreme Court as well. I'll show you one of those as well. Yes, Hasina says, thank you, buckle up, document time and breaking it down. I always hope that what I say in this Delphi case, my mind spins because there's so much. So I hope it comes out in a way that I'm explaining it well to you, because there's so much in here and I've been so far down that rabbit hole that I'm like, hi, let's talk about some of the stuff. Otherwise we'll be here for 8 hours. Okay, so these are just some little clips just to hear, you know, what Doug Carter said. Let's have a listen.
Such a global interest is because this is every small town in America. Yeah, and that's true. So we've tried to always remember.
Now remember what he said. I think this is it's a global interest because this is every small town in America. It can happen to anyone. It was broad daylight. 2 young girls aged 13 and 14 going for a walk on a bridge, on a trail, popular trail. It can happen to anyone. It could be your sister or friend or anything. That's why I think there's so much interest as well. And of course, it's like bizarre to think that there was audio, video, all of this evidence they had, and then couldn't find the suspect for 5.5 years. And then they released this sketch and then that sketch, and even the timing of that is quite interesting. We've gone over that before. But then they arrest Richard Allen. And now it's kind of like, just forget everything we said before. Yeah, this is the guy now. This is the guy. Okay, and he's going to be treated as if he's already guilty. Okay, screw everything else. Fair trial. No. And also, remember when the defense attorneys filed a motion to have the trial moved out of Carroll County? Even though there's a special judge assigned, because Judge Diener recused himself the day he signed the form for Richard Allen to be moved to the Westville Correctional Facility, where he's been ever since November of 2022. So he signed the form and he recused himself. He's like, I see what's happened. I'm out. He actually said, protect me from this storm. Do you remember that? Oh, okay. Well, what storm is that? Because we're seeing something's brewing here. Anyway, so he was there. Okay, wait, now I'm losing my train of thought. See, the rabbit hole is too deep because I can go off on a tangent. So, wait. Small town. We'll get back to it. We'll follow now. I just want to continue to play this clip. He's just saying this could have happened to anyone. So listen now to what the new attorney says.
Remember that and talk about that and not forget the value of this work, no matter what color the shirt you're wearing. Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting case.
I remembered. So before we hear what he says, Judge Gull is a special judge that was assigned in Allen County. Okay? She's not in Carroll County. Special judge assigned outside of the county. Right? The defense files a motion to say, can you please move this trial even just like 100 miles outside of Carroll County? What does the judge do? She says no. This will be happening in Carroll County. That's so weird. Why? If you want a fair trial, if you want an impartial jury, shouldn't that be your number one concern if the little town has got 3,000 people in it? They even gave stats. The defense gave stats of like 1 in 26 people in Fort Wayne know about this. 1 out of every 2 people know about this in Delphi. I'm pretty sure everyone in Delphi knows about this, you know what I mean? Yeah, Shar says, where are those tentacles, Doug? Now, you heard Doug Carter say, this is small, it's like, could be anyone's small town. Now, listen what this guy says. This is Richard Allen's newly appointed attorney, William Liberato.
It's garnered a lot of media attention. I'm not really sure why, because it's not the worst of the worst. It's a brutal homicide, but Mr. Sherman and I will do our jobs, and we'll do it professionally like we always do, and represent Mr. Allen to the best of our abilities.
Gull has been...
You don't know why it's such a big deal. Well, you're going to know. Because there's something called social media, unfortunately, yes, which has been very busy. Devouring this case, as they like to say, since it happened. Because what a mystery in such a small town, in broad daylight, double homicide, and then so much secrecy about what really happened. Equal amount of secrecy in the Evansdale murders, Bill and Peggy Stevenson, and all these other cases we've looked at which could or could not, I don't know if they may or may not be connected. Okay, yeah, that's right, Stefan. You heard it. He's not sure why this is a high-profile case. And this is the guy that's now assigned to be Richard Allen's attorney. One of, there's him, William Liberato, who's the chief public defender in Allen County, by the way. And then there's Robert Scremen, and we've already looked at clips from him and his thoughts about the case. And why, really, Richard Allen, all the evidence they have against him, well, now you're defending him. Oh, my goodness. Stefan, he doesn't know why. Okay.
On the bench since 1999, and currently, as the administrative judge, she oversees 6...
This is an old clip. I think it's from, can't remember, 7 years ago or something, 5 years ago, 7 years, something like that. I just wanted to show you something you may not have seen before, especially about how Judge Gull describes herself. She definitely does her positive talk.
Criminal courts in Allen County. She also just received national recognition for her work on jury reform. In her interview today with the Judicial Nominating Commission, Gull reiterated her strong belief in the power of the jury. She was also asked what qualities she thinks a justice should have, and she responded with meticulous, respectful, courteous, and kind. When asked to describe her...
Meticulous, respectful, courteous, and kind. Throw Richard Allen in the slammer. Fire his attorneys in an angry tantrum. What? From what we can see from the outside. We don't know what happened in there, but guess what? When they've applied for transcripts in 3 different ways, she's not allowing it. No transcripts from what happened in those chambers will ever be seen. Clearly not by the defense team and not by the public. I mean, that's not exactly transparency. We're going to go over bullet points in those documents after this. There's so much to go over today. Let's continue.
Herself, in just one word, she was quick to respond with innovative.
Limited resources. Everybody has limited resources, and I think you need to be able to think outside the box on how are we going to serve the public, how are we going to get resources, how are we going to provide services. So innovation is key, and then I got to sneak in a few others, but that was kind of fun.
Judge Gull snuck in tenacious and energetic. Chief Justice Loretta Rush then jokingly added shy and demure.
Do you think there are other people involved?
I'm not going to go there.
There's still speculation out there that investigators should still continue to look, even though he's passed away, at Ron Logan, where the bodies were found.
We're going to keep doing what we've done until there's nothing left for us to do. We're going to keep doing it.
I was looking back at my old notes from I have notebooks. I have notebooks for 5.5 years. So I was reading back on the time when you guys searched Mr. Logan's property, and Kim Riley, was it Kim's? And he was saying it was because some things didn't add up.
Copper Koozie says, your show is very one-sided. It is. It's on the side of the victims and their families and justice for them and things being very freaking shady in Delphi for a long time. And if you've ever seen my channel, you know I'm mostly very polite and perched on the fence, and I'm just like, okay, let's just observe. But unfortunately, I've bottled up so much in this Delphi case for so long that I'm just ready to talk so much about so many things that I'm like, I can smell corruption from afar. This is a corrupt little town. Something's going on there, and it needs to be exposed. So, if that's one-sided, yes, guilty as charged, I'm very one-sided. I'm on the side of the victims and their families.
Are we still looking at Mr. Logan as possibly
Looking
involved?
at everything and all of it. We're looking at all of it. We said when this happened we were going to start all over.
So you never,
That's what we're doing.
so you never cleared him, Mr. Logan?
We haven't cleared anybody.
I like Dakata's face. Is like the question is, did you clear Ron Logan? Because another argument that is presented quite often is that the guy on the bridge guy, if you do some mathematical calculations, of which I have not done, I don't do that. Okay, the bridge and the height and all that, but apparently the guy should be over 6 foot or something like that, and Richard Allen's 5'4". So even that stunned everyone who'd done all these experiments, and they reenacted the whole thing and walked over the bridge. They're like, yeah, he's probably gonna be like 5'8" to 6'2", and it's like, oh, 5'4", little Dicky, who worked at Walmart, by the way. There's always a Walmart. Little Dicky, that's Richard Allen, sorry, but he worked at Walmart. Yes, he did indeed. And so, yeah, he's 5'4" or so. Anyway, yes, Wildfire, thank you so much. So I just like, it's like, so have you cleared Ron Logan? He's like, nobody's been cleared, which is true.
Talk about the decision to keep the PC closed.
Well, that's a part of this entire process. This is not a typical, usual homicide investigation. I mean, they all matter. But this one is different. And Nick McCleland, the prosecutor here, has been a really good partner and made the decision to attempt to do that, and the judge agreed. So that's all I'm going to say about it.
Can you talk about what brought you to Mr. Allen?
No, I can't.
In other words, let them decide when they can release that PC.
Well, and then even then, remember, even then, when the...
So even when the probable cause affidavit is released, even when they have the suspect arrested, as they said, they already had Richard Allen arrested at this point. This was after that Halloween press conference, I believe, in 2022, after they arrested Richard Allen, right? Jinxie, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Then listen to what he says. So for the narrative to now be why, because people are forgetting all the stuff from the last 6 years and saying, why are the defense now trying to say there's others involved? Dakota said it all along. Many people said it along. The prosecutor himself said it. He said he can't unseal this PCA because the investigation is ongoing and there could be more people involved. Don't pretend you didn't say that. It's not just the defense coming up with something out of thin air. My goodness. And they got all the information they got from the discovery files.
PC's released. Due process is still a piece of all this puzzle. And this isn't over until it's over. And that's where the conviction of him.
You said when I interviewed at the 5-year anniversary, when we finally charge someone, that's when the real work is going to begin. That basically you have to start all over, essentially?
That's what, in essence, what they'll do. I can't think of a case in my lifetime in a long career that had that much information, that much data associated with one case. So the right thing to do is to go back to every one of them.
And you go back through all the tips you've gotten?
Exactly what they'll do.
Every single one since day one?
Yeah.
And maybe you already answered this. Do we know if you ever interviewed Mr. Allen in the past?
I'm not going to talk about Mr. Allen.
In December, he came out
We're almost done looking at clips, and then I know we got to look at documents and stuff. We'll be here for a little bit.
and said, you asked for the public's help and saying, anybody who's communicated with this Anthony Schatz profile on social media, please get in contact. Did Abby and Libby communicate with this profile?
I'm not going to talk about that, but I am going to say that we learned a tremendous amount through that particular investigative course.
And did you learn a lot about this case? Is that how you got to Richard Allen? Or what are you saying, right? It's very interesting because people have also said, Kegan Kline, he's not involved. Well, Kegan Kline only said he was sitting in a red Jeep at the Marathon gas station while someone else was committing the murders. He was only one of the last people, if not the last person. I think the quote is the last person to talk to Libby that day. Okay. And he was sitting in a red Jeep at a Marathon gas station when someone else was committing the murders. And then the FBI went there to get the surveillance footage and then lost it. Something happened to that file. It's weird, right? And then they attach this Anthony Schatz profile to the Abby and Libby tips, tip line, email, and phone number. But later it's just like, nope, nothing to see here. And I'm like, but there they say it offered them a lot of information, lots of tips, lots of leads, which is interesting. I'm not saying Kegan Kline is involved. I mean, we know him to be a pathological liar from everything we've heard. But it's just interesting. If they have always said There's a sketch of an older guy. There's a sketch of a younger guy. Both have long hair, by the way. Richard Allen was in the National Guard and has always had that like crew cut hair. That's what his wife also said. It's in the footnotes of what the defense presented. But now we're to believe it's he's a combination of those two sketches. I don't know, man. Doesn't sound like it. None of it makes sense. That's all I'm saying. There's so much along the way. Don't forget those things. If you need to remind yourself, look at the playlist. I even made a case file for you. Ooh, that case file, I watch it a lot still. Because what I did was chronologically put in all the press conferences and media interviews. And you can hear for yourself everything they said along the way. It's linked in the description box for you. PT Nonaman says, Fury and Willow, thank you so much. They power through those snacks these days, so I will get them some more. Thank you so much.
What can you tell me about this man who has been arrested, the creator of this profile, Kegan Kline?
All I can say about Kegan is that entire issue and the entire release has allowed us to glean significant investigative leads. That's all I can say about him.
I've spoken to some people who...
This was in February of 2022, a few months before they arrested Richard Allen, okay?
Who were involved in the investigation early on, and they say that there's more. There's more video, there's more sound. Why not release more of that?
It's important that we don't show our hand, quite frankly, and very directly. We're not going to explain what we know about the killer. We're not going to do that. We're not going to explain some of the intricate details of the death of Abby and Libby. Unfortunately, one day we're going to have to, but then that's going to create a whole nother issue with family and friends and the community and the like. So from an investigative standpoint, I'm not going to talk any more about it.
Interesting, right? Laurie Sutherland says, use your own mind. I do like that reminder because I'm not here to convince anyone. This content is free to watch. You don't have to watch here. If you don't like anything I'm saying, don't watch, you know? Just speaking my mind on what I see going on here. So now let's quickly look at a couple of these articles here, just so we get the gist of what we're about to dive into. Otherwise, it might be like, wait, what? So we're going to look at these. Then we're going to be looking at the articles. The documents. Document deep dive after that. Delphi judge asks the Indiana Supreme Court for more time to respond to a challenge of how she's run the case. So yes, the Supreme Court is now involved, and no, the Attorney General does not want to help Judge Gull. That is massive news. For the Attorney General to say, no, we will not be representing you. You need to find your own counsel. That's pretty embarrassing. Oh, speaking my language, and if you're on Patreon, you know. Or remember, we talked about this in our last member stream as well. I'm looking. Okay, the judge overseeing the Delphi double murder trial of Richard Allen has asked the Indiana Supreme Court for more time to respond to a challenge of how she's run the case. Allen County Superior Judge Fran Gull was granted an extra week before she has to file a response with the High Court over a petition that argues that she has unnecessarily limited public access to documents in the case file. The new due date for Judge Gull's response is November 16th. Judge Gull filed a motion with the Supreme Court on Friday, citing the Indiana Attorney General's refusal to represent her in the High Court debate. That's not normal. I don't think so. Imagine being in Judge Gull's shoes right now, and it is pretty ironic, because she's like, you know what, Richard Allen, oh, you want these pro bono attorneys now, private counsel? No. And then the Attorney General, Judge Gull's like, can you help me? Because I'm going to be going to Supreme Court now. And the Attorney General's like, you can find your own counsel. Ooh, that's very hectic. Is she going to have to recuse herself or what? So, no one wants this, by the way. No one wants corruption, delays, or any of this. Everybody should want justice for Libby and Abby. That's what it's about, but it's got to be done the right way. Can't just do it however you like, you know what I mean? If you're the judge there, you can't just be like, this is how we're doing it, that's it. Because McCleland said so. That's what I feel like is happening there. Eye of a Papa says, when people find out what really happened, they'll be shocked. This cover-up is ridiculous. I can only imagine. Some people say, are you going to go to the trial in Delphi? No, do you want me to stay alive or not? Because I'm scared like that of Delphi at this rate of corruption. I'm like, my word, me go there. No, we'll stay here because my word is scary. It feels like we're uncovering this really sinister thing. I don't know what's happening there. but it's not right. Essen Derek says, why doesn't the FBI take over this mess? Well, they've been involved. They've been involved. Yes. I think some of them are friends with McCleland too, so I don't know what to say about that, but I think they've been involved since the beginning there. Debbie says, I think you're great and a very hard worker. Thank you, Debbie. And the new date for Judge Gull's response is November 16th because she asked for 5 extra business days. Judge Gull filed a motion with the Supreme Court Friday citing the Indiana Attorney General's refusal to represent her in the High Court debate. She claimed she needed time to find another lawyer. Chief Justice Loretta Rush granted Judge Gull's request, and a new attorney was found. Last week, Judge Gull told Delphi defendant Richard Allen that she was replacing his defense team with 2 lawyers from her home court in Fort Wayne because she alleged his original attorneys exhibited gross negligence in their handling of crucial crime scene evidence. And as we just saw, those crime scene photos have been leaked for a long, long time. So the fact that they leaked to those specific people makes me wonder. Especially with the other leaks that podcast has orchestrated. I have no other way to say that. There's been many other leaks, okay? The evidence in question was leaked to social media followers of the investigation into the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German in Carroll County in 2017. All right. So, we continue on here. This one, wait, no, got the articles, all different sizes. Powering through the articles. An order issued Friday gave Judge Gull's legal counsel to November 16th. The Indiana Supreme Court's order on Friday says once briefing is complete, the court will take the matter under advisement. So, I think there was a little sentence I wanted to read to you. What is it? Never mind. Let's move on. This is her new attorney, Matthew R. Gutwein. He's sounding very German there, right? Gutwein. Matthias Gutwein. Sorry, my German is Gisela, so I've also got German ancestry. And when I see Gutwein, I'm like, yeah, he's German. I don't know, he's American, okay. So he's an experienced trial and appellate litigator and business executive. He successfully argued before the United States Supreme Court, the United States Court of Appeals, and the Seventh Circuit, and all kinds of things. The other problem, though, is that he's also been accused of things. Let's see here. It doesn't matter, whatever. I'm just saying it's not all the. She doesn't know that many squeaky clean people, is what it seems like to me. Matthew Gutwein, the longtime president and CEO of the Health and Hospital Corp of Marion County, announced his resignation today amid pressure from the Public Health Agency's board. After more than 18 deeply rewarding years, it's time for a new leader to build upon our achievements and all of that, he said. His exit follows a series of investigative stories from IndyStar and comes as the COVID-19 deaths continue to mount at 78 nursing homes the agency owns across the state. The resignation is effective September 30th, will bring to an end nearly 2 decades of Gutwein's leadership. He's a longtime Democrat political fundraiser. Let's not get political now, everyone. Has faced growing questions from the agency's 7-person board of trustees, whose members are appointed by the mayor, city council, and Marion County Board of Commissioners. The scrutiny began in March after IndyStar reported that the HHC had diverted more than $1 billion in Medicaid funds away from its nursing homes during Gutwein's tenure, including the crowning achievement of Gutwein's career, the $754 million Sydney and Lewis. The point is, it seems like perhaps misused funds or something, which sounds about how they work in Delphi a little bit. Steel Guitar says, Ich spreche Deutsch. Gee, is it? Laurie said, it seems like anyone who questions the narrative is called out, dismissed, or threatened, makes one question what the defense brought to light. Thank you, G, for bringing this to us and putting Abby and Libby first. Thank you so much, Laurie. I really, really appreciate it. So I just wanted you to know at least who the new attorney is. This is the guy that's going to be representing Judge Gull at the Supreme Court. She called another friend. She got him. Okay, or she's hired this guy. I don't know what the price would be. It must be quite hectic, you know. So this is who will be representing her in the Supreme Court, not the Attorney General. And I think it's going to be quite a fight, right? Mindy says, love being a Grizzly Best channel on YouTube. Can't get enough of G's PowerPoint presentations. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's see this judge challenge on how Delphi murder case has been run. Okay, we've seen this. The Indiana Supreme Court honored Judge Frank Gull's request for more time. So we've got that. Okay, we've seen this clip as well. Allen County's chief public defender says his office is prepared to take on the Delphi killings case. This was now that William Liberato clip that we saw, so I'm going to show you a few more quotes from him. because he just doesn't understand why this is such a high-profile case. It's no biggie for him, he says. Okay, overconfident. While the Delphi murder trial is attracting more media attention than has been seen in ages for an Indiana case, Allen County Chief Public Defender William Billy Liberato, one of 2 Allen County public defenders recently assigned to the case, doesn't believe the trial will impact the daily work of the department. Well, I think it's going to impact your daily work, sir. Sorry to break it to you, but this case is huge. And it's pretty rocky right now. So if it's not going to take your full-on dedication and you think you could take it in your stride, you might need to think again. Tara, you said, thank you, GK, for all your hard work. Thank you so much. And happy Grizzly-versary. He says, it's not a death penalty case or an LWOP, life without parole case. It's just a double homicide, which we do routinely. Unfortunately, here in Allen County, the only impact it will have is the travel time to another county. Okay. Liberato said Thursday, just after the quarterly Public Defender Board meeting held at the Rousseau Center. Liberato said a round trip to Carroll County, where the trial is currently being held, is 5 hours. We have 7 investigators and 2 assigned specifically to that case, so I don't think we'll need outside resources, but the state's Public Defenders Council, based out of Indianapolis, is always willing to help, Liberato said. Liberato has been a public defender for nearly 25 years, has had conversations with Bernice Corley, the executive director of Indiana Public Defender Council, who has offered assistance if we needed it. We just don't know at this point what's coming our way as far as discovery. And that's when you're going to know this will be a full-time focus and it's going to affect your job. You're going to work 24/7, 365, okay? Anyway, we've gotten a little bit, but not all of it yet, Liberato said. It's definitely an interesting case. It's garnered a lot of media attention, Liberato said. It's a brutal homicide, but Mr. Screman and I will do our jobs, and we'll do it professionally like we always do, and represent Mr. Allen to the best of our abilities. The rest we know. Okay. So we've got that, and then lastly, what was here? I wanted to show you something here. Oh yeah. Judge Gull said she found the attorneys to be grossly negligent, even though there was no hearing for that. So no one knows really exactly why, besides the rumors of leaked photos and all that little bit that came out. Where's the professional hearing? Where is the paperwork? Why are you hiding case files? Judge Gull said she found them to be grossly negligent and ordered their removal from the case after a televised October hearing. Other attorneys have petitioned the Supreme Court to reinstate former court-appointed defense team Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rozzi to the case. And that's what I was showing you earlier there. Oh, I showed you this one. Yes. And it was, is it this one? No, I clicked it again. The same one. Wait. That one. Motion for early trial. They're not giving up. Bradley Rozzi, the defendant, Richard M. Allen, by counsel, moves the court for an early trial within 70 days of this criminal procedure. Goodness me. Okay. So we've got that. I just quickly want to see if there's another one. There's one other document. This one. I got permission from the Grizzly, who wrote this to the court to show you guys. So thank you. This says October 31st, 2023. The Indiana Commission on Judicial Qualifications has received your complaint against Judge Francis C. Gull. C. Gull. Okay. The complaint will be added to the Commission's agenda, and as soon as a decision is reached in your case, you will be notified. If you want to add your complaint or for any reason communicate with the Commission members or staff, please be sure to do so in writing. The procedure followed by the Commission is found in Supreme Court Admission and Discipline Rule 25. At some point during the course of its review and resolution of your complaint, the Commission will send a copy of your complaint to the judge. All papers filed with the Commission and the substance of any Commission action taken, unless formal charges are filed by the Commission, are kept confidential by the Commission, and unless formal charges are filed, I will not be at liberty to discuss with you the Commission's inquiry into your complaint. The point of showing you this is they do acknowledge when people do complain about the conduct of the judge and say they're very concerned and something's not right, they actually reply and say, thank you, we've got your complaint. Yes, this is going to the Supreme Court. Good job, good job. Okay, so now, for these documents, let's see what we got, because I've got literally, I don't know how many lined up for you. So I'm not going to, we won't have time to read through all of them word by word. It will just, I think it'll be overwhelming. I would know, because I've been looking at them all day. I'm like, oh my goodness, my head is spinning. Okay, so just hold on. So we're starting there. I put it this, because it says 11/3/2023. So we're going to start there for now. Frederica, good enough, says Richard Allen ought to have the attorneys that he wants. Now, I know that when Richard Allen, remember when he wrote a letter to the court saying that he first said, no, he's going to find his own attorneys. Then he realized, oh crap, it's really expensive, I can't afford it. Then he threw himself at the mercy of the court through a letter, to the judge, and said he needs public defenders. Those public defenders were then assigned to him in November of 2022. Bradley Rozzi, Andrew Baldwin. Now the thing is, now that they have been thrown off the case, because Bradley Rozzi never filed a formal motion to withdraw at all, so he technically should still be Richard Allen's attorney, according to how things normally work, the procedure, right? Anyway, now that they're off the case, sorry, I'm distracted now, I'm like colors. Now that they've been thrown off the case, the judge just assigning these new attorneys, William Librato and Robert Scremen, that's not how it works. That's not how the procedure normally works. So, we're going to look at all of this. Okay, Alice answers, hey G, long-time lurker. I think the new defense attorney is chill because he fully plans on Baldwin and Rozzi getting the case back. Love this channel. I really hope that that's more of the case rather than people thinking, Richard Allen's already deteriorated so much, he's not even going to make it to trial. That's what I'm worried about. I'm really worried. Is he going to survive another year until the trial? Because he's deteriorating because of the conditions he's been kept in. And I'm not here being like, oh shame, poor little Richard Allen. I'm not doing that. He's in a prison. Segregated. And being tased for we don't know what. I like how people email me angry. He probably got tased because he deserved it. How do you know? What if that's your husband? What if that's your brother? What if that's someone you know, your best friend or anyone you know that this is happening to? It's pretty scary. Got to keep an eye on it. And there's a lot of shady stuff happening here, right? Okay. Motion to withdraw appearance. This is from 11/3/2023. Hannah M. Dieters. We looked at this before. I'm just reminding you. Deputy Attorney General respectfully moves the court to withdraw her appearance as counsel for the non-parties, Westville Correctional Facility, and Indiana Department of Correction in this matter, as she will no longer be working at the office of the Indiana Attorney General. Whoa. The appearance of Deputy Attorney General Aaron M. Ridlin for the non-parties, Westville Correctional Facility, and Indiana Department of Correction will remain in effect, and all pleadings, orders, and entries should continue to be served on him. So Hannah M. Dieters, Deputy Attorney General, out. Wow. Oh, another thing I was saying about the attorneys and the way that they were just thrown off the case actually makes it a bit of a gray area because they applied to be pro bono private counsel for Richard Allen. There's a gray area there, like where they could now be, because it's going to be pro bono for Richard Allen, private counsel. If he can have private counsel, that's not going to cost him anything. He should be allowed to have that, right? Rolfie says, thank you for your great coverage on this case. Gee, there are so many shady things happening there. Yes, full on shady. Thank you, Rolfie and Harley. Okay. Debbie Torn says, I would love to hear Attorney Baldwin interviewed. I hope you've seen some of the other interviews that he has done. I've downloaded them because I have a feeling some of those, sometimes things get scrubbed from the internet and we're like, wait, where did they go? What happened there? So I'm trying to save everything so we can make more case files, okay? But I hope you've seen those. At the moment, they can't talk because there's a gag order. And they could be disbarred even if they've been disqualified if they talk about the stuff. So there's this document. Okay, let's go to the next one. Look at this one. In the Indiana Supreme Court, State of Indiana, relating to Richard Allen relator versus Carroll Circuit Court et al. Respondents. Order. This was October 30th of 2023. Yes, before that Halloween hearing where he met his two new attorneys. Now it says here, the relator, Richard Allen, by counsel, has filed a verified petition for a writ of mandamus and prohibition, seeking relief under the rules governing original actions. Any briefs opposing issuance of the writ or any supplemental records must be filed directly with the clerk of the Supreme Court on or before Thursday, November 9th, 2023. Any supplemental record must be submitted in the same format required for the record under the original rules and all of that. Now, this was what Judge Gull needs 5 more days for. So I'm just going to close them as we go. Otherwise, there's so many here. Okay, here's another order. In the Indiana Supreme Court, the State of Indiana with Richard Allen, relator versus Carroll County Circuit Court. order. On October 30th, 2023, the court set a briefing schedule in this matter, requiring that any brief opposing issuance of the writ must be filed directly with the clerk of the Supreme Court on or before Thursday, November 9th of 2023. Respondents by counsel have requested, respondents are Judge Gull, have requested an extension of this deadline. In their motion, respondents indicate that the Office of the Indiana Attorney General declined to represent respondents in this matter. Respondents engaged new counsel on November 3rd of 2023, which is that Matthew Gutwein guy, and counsel will require additional time to adequately respond to issues presented in the relator's petition. Let me just change the color here a little bit because you can't even see my highlights. There they are. Wait. Okay. So that is where Judge Gull requested more time. Being duly advised, the court grants the respondents unopposed motion for extension of time to respond to the petition for writs of mandamus and prohibition. Any briefs opposing issuance of the writ or any supplemental records must be filed directly with the clerk of the Supreme Court on or before Thursday, November 16th of 2023. So keep that date in your diary. We're going to have to keep a lookout of what happens there. Any supplemental record must be submitted in the same format required for the record under Original Action Rule 3C and G. Once the briefing is complete, the court will take the matter under advisement. This was done at Indianapolis, Indiana on 11/3/2023, signed by Loretta H. Rush. Okay. So, what we don't want, because we care about victims and their families, is a mistrial. We don't want a mistrial. We want Richard Allen to have a fair trial, for things to be done properly, for there to be no room for error, and the judge herself has left a lot of room for error, and that's what's so maddening in a case like this. It's taken this long to even get here. And to just be like, oh, we're going to just take another year. I feel for the families, man. Can you imagine it? Just be like, oh, well, just another year. Wow. Okay, so there's that one. By the way, we don't want to save that. I put a lot of these documents onto Patreon, so if you are interested in reading them yourself as well, they are there. If you want an easy place to find it with the post and the date and everything like that. Okay, so now let's go here. This one is from today, so I'm reading it first. There's lots of other things to look at, but let's look at this one. Verified petition for writ of mandamus. This is now the latest. They say, in February 2017, Abigail Williams and Libby German, two teenage girls from Delphi, were murdered. So Abby was 13, Libby was 14. Since then, the case has drawn more attention than perhaps any other case in Indiana history. So it seemed like the world was watching when in October 2022, the state announced that it had arrested Rick Allen for the girls' murders. In a matter of just days, Rick was taken into custody, moved to the Department of Corrections for his own safety, and appointed a special judge from another county. That's true. That all happened just like that. They're like, oh, that Judge Benjamin Diener was like, no. Protect me from the storm. And then he's like, I'm recusing myself. This is way too much. And I'm like, whoa, if I could talk to him, I would love to know what he's thinking of all this. He's probably like, oh man, I could see this coming. Which is very sad. So he said, so it goes on, sorry. The trial court appointed Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rozzi as Rick's public defenders. If you're wondering why I say Rozzi and not Rozzi, it's because Mr. Rozzi wants us to say it Rozzi, okay? For the next year, Rick's attorneys have zealously advocated on Rick's behalf through exceptional circumstances, and you can't deny that. They've been working their absolute butts off. They're doing what criminal defense attorneys are supposed to do. And they're not victim blaming at all. They're not, we've seen as we're watching this trial of Jesse Krzyzewski, oh my goodness, the defense is just victim blaming. The judge has to step in and say, could you please stop doing that? They're not doing that. They're doing the right thing. They were the ones saying, we want the probable cause affidavit unsealed, please. They're the ones saying, why are these documents being hidden? They're the ones saying, we want cameras in the courtroom at all times, thank you. Not just the one time when you want to publicly shame us. Okay, and they're the ones that give it to the court, and then the court releases it to the public and then says, oopsie, because they didn't redact it. They can't give it to the court redacted. Then the court won't know what the hell they're talking about. That's not the normal way to do things either. Okay, so they say, under exceptional circumstances, and we love bullet points, a gag order that was misapplied to pleadings filed in court, yes, a protective order in a case involving thousands of discovery items, a client who lost nearly half his body weight and began exhibiting symptoms of psychosis while enduring unduly restrictive conditions of confinement, and intense media attention exacerbated by a lack of access to court records. Despite these challenges, Rick and his counsel made a strategic decision to be prepared to go to trial in January of 2024. So even if they felt like, you know what, oh my word, the odds are against us, they're ready. They're ready to fight for Richard Allen. Let's do this properly. But they're also pointing out what's not being done properly, which is actually pretty amazing. They feel like they're part of us, you know? So, it's not the ordinary case. Definitely not. That's Doug Carter said. This is not an ordinary case. We can see. And the many tentacles. Do you mean there's other suspects, or do you mean the many tentacles that have their hands in everything in Delphi? Do you mean the many tentacles of corruption that you have to deal with, sir? Because that's what I'm starting to think of. Okay. So they say they formulated a defense of third-party guilt, and they filed several substantive motions in pursuit of their trial strategy. In early October, counsel informed the court that Rick was ready for trial in January 2024. 2 days later, the court instructed attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi to cease working on Rick's case amid discovery that an acquaintance, and it wasn't a finding that the judge made, it was Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin that actually emailed the judge and Nicholas McCleland to say, oh crap, someone we know has disseminated some photographs that they took that was in the conference room in Andrew Baldwin's office. They weren't secretive about that. They're like, we got a problem. Even though I maintain for years those photos have been floating around. Interesting timing of everything. So then they said, 2 days later, the court instructed attorneys Bradley and Rozzi to cease working on Rick's case. We saw those documents as well, so check out the playlist if you missed all those, because we've definitely done a lot of document reading, especially in this case. There's a lot of them, and they're all very important. So then they said, amid discovery that an acquaintance of attorney Baldwin secretly photographed and leaked to media, a YouTuber and a podcast, a few pieces of discovery from the case, which was already out there. Attorney, remember this, before the F tree picture was out there, because that's one of the leaked photos, is the blood that looks like it could be an F, but there's also other spatter and stuff around it on this picture. That's one of the main things that was out there, right? But before that, there was already renditions made, so other people already had it because they're making Photoshop renditions of it to show on court TV. Anyway, so they say, despite the exceptional circumstances, attorney Baldwin and Rozzi were removed as Rick's counsel. Rick's new attorney sought a lengthy continuance of the trial and admitted they did not know when they would be ready to proceed. Despite the exceptional circumstances, Rick has never wavered on this. Attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi are his counsel of choice. At every opportunity, he has reaffirmed to the court that he wants them to remain as his counsel. Facts supporting the petition. 1. This was today's document, okay? This is like hot off the press type document. 1. After Rick was charged with 2 counts of murder, he was arrested and placed in the DOC, Department of Corrections, for safekeeping. A special judge was appointed on his case, and he was assigned 2 public defenders, Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rozzi. Attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi were very skilled attorneys with a combined 50 years of criminal trial experience. Shortly after their appearance, Rick's lawyers issued a press release affirming Rick's innocence when the charging information and probable cause affidavit were released to the public. In response, the court entered a gag order. Do you remember that? I remember that. I remember the interviews, and they're like, why can't they just release the probable cause affidavit? Because what's in there is really very circumstantial. It's not saying like our client is absolutely the guy. And then McCleland, the prosecutor, said he doesn't want it under any circumstances to be released. Judge Gull is actually the one that overrode that. She's like, we are going to release it. Remember, there was a bit of a delay. I think it was 3 months or so. And then she released it. When we all saw it, we were like, that's it? That's what you have? This is it? This is the big fuss? Like 5.5 years of secrecy? For this? Wow. Anyway, and so they said shortly after the appearance, Rick's lawyers issued a press release affirming Rick's innocence. We saw that, yes. And then they issued a gag order, which I think was in February of 2023. In response, the court entered this gag order. The court also entered a protective order prohibiting the parties from divulging or otherwise granting access to the discovery relevant to this case, which is normal to do, But if you look at that document, the way that it's worded, it's almost like if anyone you know finds the pictures you have, yeah, you're going to be out. It just sounded like McCleland, he drew up that document. It sounded like, oh, okay, just make sure that you set up all these very big rules, which must be set, so that if they put one toe out of line, they're out. And yeah, I guess they put a toe out of line. Albo's mom says, can you hear the passion in your voice on this one? Gee, I feel the same, fuming at the mess of this case. It's so sad. I feel so sad for Libby and Abby and for their families. Imagine if they could be seeing what's going on here now. Eye of Apophis reaffirms final discovery was due November 1st. There is motive for the timing of the leak. I agree with you. Okay, in the 11 months, attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi represented Rick. They had 2 leaks of discovery material occur. They've never hidden that. Now, I'm not saying it makes it right, but they've never been like, oh no, we didn't, or there's no secrecy with them. It's like what you see is what you get. One would think that should be the case with the prosecution, right, and the judge. In this case, it's the other way around. The first instance was inadvertent. Attorney Baldwin mistakenly sent a discovery log to a third party. Attorney Baldwin discovered his mistake later that day and rectified the matter. The second incident occurred after a close friend of Attorney Baldwin secretly photographed a few items of discovery and leaked them to others, all without Attorney Baldwin's knowledge. Wonder how much money they got. Another challenge trial counsel faced was Rick's confinement in the DOC. The overly restrictive conditions Rick was subjected to led to a rapid decline in his physical and mental health. Now people say, so, why do you say so? The guy is innocent until proven guilty. And it isn't like there's this massive amount of evidence, okay, in the probable cause affidavit either. It's really very circumstantial. So it's really an example of innocent until proven guilty. People all want a pitchfork there for Koberger. He's innocent. Well, okay, but him too. You know what I mean? Like Richard Allen, he's innocent till proven guilty. So why are they treating him like that? Okay. Overly restrictive conditions. During the course of the representation, counsel filed motions with the trial court seeking to transfer Rick to another facility. To date, Rick remains in the same facility under the same conditions of confinement. Yet throughout this, Rick and his attorneys adopted a trial strategy of seeking a speedy trial. They also formulated a detailed defense suggesting third-party guilt. They began pursuing this trial strategy and defense by filing a number of substantive pretrial motions, including the following. A motion to suppress evidence, which will now require a lengthy hearing involving multiple witnesses and exhibits. A motion in limine regarding the reliability of the firearm or tool mark comparison evidence, which will also require an evidentiary hearing with multiple experts. A motion requesting a hearing under the Franks versus Delaware, with a reference there, which was accompanied by a lengthy 136-page memorandum and hundreds of pages of exhibits delivered to the court for its review. Sorry, my voice is running out. Snark dust is coming up. Delivered to the court for its review is highlighted because it was delivered to the court. Please remember that. People make as if the defense team delivered this Franks memorandum to the public. Who? They gave it to the court. The court released it. And it's amazing how many of the defense's documents the court releases unredacted, but the state's is like protected. There were over 100 documents that were kept in secret. Okay, also the Cass County Yulee Jade says RA needs to be pulled from that prison. I agree. Because the Cass County jail is apparently, it's renovated, it's nice, and it's fine. He can be kept safely in there, you know? And I've heard this argument also, we don't have the resources to transport him and all that. Why not? This is a very high profile, very important case. The whole world is watching you. Please do it properly. Do it properly for everyone, but do it properly. Okay, so they said they also prepared a motion for a speedy trial, which they plan to file in early November to confirm the January 2024 trial date. It was supposed to happen on January 8th. They're still fighting for that to happen, by the way. During a telephone conference between the parties and the court, Rick's attorneys informed the court that they were going to trial in January of 2024. Shortly after that telephone conference, the parties learned that some photographs had been taken and disseminated to the media of several discovery items. After some investigation, it was discovered that the leak occurred at Attorney Baldwin's office when a former employee, we saw his affidavit, surreptitiously accessed the discovery items and disseminated them all without counsel's knowledge. Thereafter, Both the state and the court discussed removing attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi as Rick's counsel. Rick informed the court in writing that he was aware that he can still wish to have attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi as his chosen counsel, but the court told the counsel to cease working on the case until a hearing could be held. In an in-chambers proceeding held on October 19th of 2023, the court told Rick's attorneys that she believed they had engaged, that's Judge Gull, in gross negligence and that they could either withdraw from the case or be removed as Rick's counsel during the televised hearing in open court, the only day that Judge Gull allowed cameras in the courtroom. It was used, in my opinion, as an intimidation tactic, also with the entire fleet of law enforcement there. There they all were. Doug Carter, Tony Leggett, Jerry Holman. I didn't see Tobe Lesenby until later. I saw a clip where later he was standing somewhere outside there. Wow. Okay. This is a 16-page document. It's one of many, so that's why I'm powering through, okay? We gotta go. Very important stuff. Attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi met with Rick and decided in order to avoid prejudicing Rick's defense and tainting the jury pool, they would withdraw as his attorneys. However, they told the court their withdrawal was involuntary, as they believed they were given no other choice by the court. Attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi left the courthouse, and Rick was immediately transported back to the DOC at the court's direction. At the hearing held in open court, the court noted the unexpected turn of events, we've done a deep dive on that were outside of our control. Oh no, you were in control. And informed the public that Rick's attorneys had withdrawn their appearance as his counsel. After the hearing, Rick's counsel notified the court that they had not formally withdrawn as Rick's counsel and that they were seeking the judge's recusal to rectify the prejudice that Rick had suffered as a result of the court's actions. They also reasserted Rick's desire to proceed to trial in January of 2024. I mean, even Richard Allen's like, I'm ready. I'm so ready for this trial. Bring it on. Let's go. The court ordered the clerk to remove Rick's filings from the record. Yes, they did do that. That's not how it normally works. Just they're like control or delete. And it appointed 2 new attorneys to represent Rick. To preserve Rick's chosen trial strategy, attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi entered their appearance as Rick's private counsel. In their appearances, they reasserted their position that they'd been improperly removed as Rick's chosen counsel and that they were entering their appearances pro bono in order to preserve Rick's right to a speedy and fair trial with counsel of his choice. At a hearing held on October 31st of 2023, the court removed attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi as counsel over Rick's objection. The court noted its grave concerns about their representation and said it could not allow them to represent Rick. Okay. And so, just remember everyone, we are not here to have sympathy. You know, we're not here to sympathize with the suspect. He's the suspect. They arrested him. There have been innocent people arrested before, though, in the past. If there's any case that looks sort of like it, it could be this one. You know, but he's the suspect. We're thinking of the victims and their families and the procedure not being followed, that there could be a mistrial. We are sympathizing and empathizing with the victims and their families. They deserve better than this. They really do. Things should be done properly. Thereafter, the new attorneys appointed to Rick's case admitted they could not tell the court with any certainty when they'd be prepared for a trial. Oh, why not? New attorneys, I thought, this is easy. William Labrato says it's a piece of cake, people. He doesn't even know why this is high profile. It's just like another day for him. And the other attorney's like, well, you know, with the markings on the unspent round of which he botched all the words, I'm not even a gun person. I really have to like think about it and practice all the things when I'm talking about guns and bullets and unspent rounds. But even he botched it. But yet he's saying the markings could prove it and he put himself there that day and this and this. Great defense attorney you've chosen there. He sounds like he really... There was an interview he did right after Richard Allen was arrested. He's allowed to talk about the case, but it's a little bit like, could you not have chosen anyone else? Anyone else. Anyway, so they say. Thereafter, the new attorneys appointed admitted they could not tell the court with any certainty when they'd be prepared for trial, given the massive amount of discovery, but they agreed to continue the trial. So it's like, we can't tell you when, but just add another year. Yeah. You like Halloween, right? Yeah, next year, Halloween. October 15th to end around October 31st. It's actually October 15th to November 1st is when the trial's been scheduled for, by the way. Danny Dawes says, I have no idea about guns either. Yes, I always have to read up a lot and be like, wait, what? Okay. So, the court also noted that once new counsel had time to review the case, they could decide whether to adopt the pleadings filed as part of Rick's trial strategy and defense or abandon them in favor of their own. The day after attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi were removed from Rick's case, the undersigned counsel contacted the court reporter to make arrangements to prepare an expedited transcript of the relevant proceedings to file this original action. I know these are long documents, but I hope you're keeping up and that you're enjoying the document readout. Renee says, so many Grizzlies in the house today. I haven't even checked. Welcome, everyone. Ice Queen, welcome. Jurisdictional statements and original action stands. I'm reading this one first because the others are, this is actually the newest one and it actually covers a lot of the bases, okay? This court has jurisdiction over this petition as an original action. This application has been made expeditiously after the jurisdiction of the respondent court became an issue. As developed below and in the accompanying brief, the respondent court has exceeded its jurisdiction in its removal of Rick's counsel of choice. Then they give the reasons why. Okay, as explained below and in the accompanying brief, the denial of this petition will result in extreme hardship and the remedy available by appeal will be wholly inadequate. Giving lots of rules here, rules of procedure for original actions contains a required condition precedent that the subject matter of the original action must be raised and ruled on by the trial court prior to the filing of an original action. As will be explained more fully below and in the accompanying brief, the subject matter of this action was raised below in at least one motion alleging the trial court lacked jurisdiction to act in the manner in which it did. The trial court ruled on the motion. Here's the grounds for the writ of mandamus. Some I hear say mandamus, some say mandamus. Mandamus. Vixen says, please don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you so much. Pause on the like button. Grizzlies. Okay, we're on page 9 out of 16. I just want to see, because I can see this is a very, very heavy legalese now, which we don't mind. I just want to make sure we could keep on paying attention here. So let's go to 44, as I say, if you want to read the documents. They are out there. They're on X. They're on the Allen Superior County Court. There's a link there. You can download the whole Google Drive file. But they're also on Patreon if you want to see ones that I picked out for you. Finally, this court should remove the special judge assigned to this case and order appointment of a new special judge. Indiana Judicial Conduct Rule 2.11 requires a judge to disqualify herself in any proceeding in which the judges... We read through this, remember? I think it was in the last Delphi stream. I'm like, whoa, let's look at the code of conduct, of the code of judicial conduct. That's what we were looking at here. It's quoted, that one. Rule 211 requires a judge to disqualify herself in any proceeding in which the judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, including circumstances where the judge has a bias or prejudice concerning a party or a party's lawyer. Well, it does seem like that happened. We can't argue or do it. Stephanie said, I'm like, she says, okay, welcome, Stephanie. Welcome to membership. Hasina says, I need to have my rooibos tea with honey on standby. I do need to, hey. My voice box is not complying. Yes. Okay, so. Amy Lee, the more members we have, the more emojis I can make. So right now I'd have to delete one to make one. So if you want to submit in the comments below which ones to delete or email me, I don't know. I just can't add more right now. Okay, so they say, here, the judge believed counsel was grossly negligent and expressed grave concerns about their representation. She emphatically stated to Rick that she could not allow them to be his attorneys given her concerns. But there wasn't even a proper hearing about this gross negligence. That's the problem. The international media attention this case has received suggests that for many people following the case, this may be their first time observing an Indiana court proceeding. It's not looking good, guys. Rick had carefully formulated trial strategy and a detailed defense suggesting third-party guilt. The substantive pretrial motions he has filed to further his strategy and pursue his defense have yet to be ruled on. Going forward, the public will question the judge's impartiality. Yes, with respect to her rulings. To restore the public's trust in the integrity of the judicial process in this high-profile case, a new special judge should be appointed. Can't disagree. Some people even say now it was narcissistic rage. And I'm like, damn. Because of the way she's like, just get out of my face. And when they say, okay, pro bono. And when they then file to say, you know what, this judge should be recused. She literally tells the court clerk, and I don't think she has the right to do that from what I understand from what I've read. She tells the court clerk, the court clerk is an elected position, delete all of that. Remove those filings from our system. I mean, you can't just do that. You can't do that in the court system. Okay. So, statement of precise relief sought. The relator respectfully requests that permanent writ of mandamus be issued, mandating that the trial court reinstate attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi as Rick's court-appointed counsel. You see? They are still fighting. Still. People thought, okay, fine. Now they're going to walk away. You know, like with their tail between their legs. No. They are really fighting for Richard Allen, for their client, who they believe is innocent. So, that's what they've said, right? And they should, because they are the ones that were representing him. I do not see the same determination or passion from the new attorneys. In fact, they're like, why is this such a high-profile trial? I don't get it. Oh, my word. That's concerning. So, mandating the trial court reinstate attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi as Rick's appointed counsel, mandating that the trial court order Rick's trial to commence within 70 days from the issuance of the writ. So they're like, we're ready to go. Let's go January 8th. Mandating that the special judge be removed from Rick's case and a new special judge be appointed. Wow. So there they went. Oh, they got some word count going on here. Okay, word count, love that. And then, motion for a transcript. Check this one out. This was State of Indiana on the relation of Richard Allen, relator, versus the Carroll County Circuit Court and the Honorable Francis C. Gull, Special Judge. Relator by counsel respectfully requests that this honorable court order that the following transcript be prepared. The in-chambers proceeding held on October 19th. In support thereof, the relator states the following. Relator has filed this original action after his trial counsel, attorneys Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rozzi, were removed from his case due to the court's belief that the trial counsel engaged in gross negligence. The point of this is, it's 5 pages, okay? As I say, the documents are out there. They've got an undersigned counsel, Cara Vinica. Yeah, if I was saying it the German way or the Dutch way, it's like vinegar. Vinica. I don't know how you guys would say it in America. But Cara responded that she would prepare and file her limited appearance and written motion for transcripts. They now want the transcripts of what happened in those chambers. The judge will not give it to them. That's a red flag. I mean, why? Why don't you want to give it to them? Let's go to this one. How long is this? Ooh, it's very long. Look at it. This is a table of contents. This can get us there. Background. Wait. Oh, yeah. I've got another one to show you. This writ of relator's brief in support of the petition, that we just read the petition, for the writs of mandamus and prohibition. Hundreds of documents are improperly excluded from public access. Allen files a Frank's Memorandum of Law, and the trial court, Supt, sponte, removes it from the public CCS without notice or hearing. The trial court attempts to effectuate the removal of Allen's chosen counsel over his objection and without his consent or approval. These are all the wrongdoings. You see, that's what they're saying. Allen instructs his chosen counsel to make filings on his behalf, and the trial court orders the clerk to remove those filings from both the CCS and the electronic case file. Whoa. So, this is the background of it. Let me show you the hundreds of documents. So, in case you didn't know this, hundreds of documents in this case. And I thought it's because I'm a foreigner, okay? Why can't I easily find these documents? Why do I have to sniff? Compared to other states, where do they maybe have new documents? Ooh, let me email the court clerk. Finally find the right person. Let me email this court clerk and ask, hey, you got any documents back there? And I do that on a weekly basis, and then I find them. But it makes sense now. Why? Defense diaries, criminal defense attorney Bob Modders talked about it too, saying that at some point with the system that Judge Gull set up here to get the documents, you'd have to put in like 4 different passwords and I don't know what. Probably swear allegiance to who knows what, just to get documents, which should be public. Like if you look at the Idaho cases of public interest for Koberger, which we've looked at before, they're all there. The documents are all there. It's a Mount Everest worth of documents, but they're all there for the public to access on one link, super easy, labeled really well. What is going on here? Okay, Jennifer Fox, I missed what you said. Is it mandamus or which one are you saying? Vinica? Which pronunciation police just rolled in? Winnecke. You want me to say Winnecke? It's a German descent surname. But anyway, moving on. So they say, This case involves one of the most high-profile matters in Indiana history. On April 5th of 2023, defendant relator Richard Allen filed an emergency motion to modify the safekeeping order, exhibits, and a proposed order marking everything as public documents. Thereafter, someone within the court system, Supt, sorry lawyers if I'm hurting your ears, changed all of Allen's filings to confidential and excluded all of them from public access without any notice to or from Allen. Did they think no one would notice? Especially the defense attorneys. When they're like, ooh, okay, these documents, just put those to the side. Okay, those can be public. Whoops, they're not redacted. Okay, give them back. Public, please unsee them. Private, just unsee them, and it didn't happen. I'm like, okay, but we all saw it did happen. So, from that point, through the end of June of 2023, more than 125 separate court records were excluded from public access. So if you guys are not outraged, especially in America, it's your country, you know what I mean? That public documents, I mean, we're all the public, but I've just been like, they were hiding these documents from you. But not a single one of these excluded documents includes the mandatory access to the court records, ACR form identifying the specific Rule 5 grounds upon which exclusion is based. As of today, there's no way for the public to know the grounds on which any document was excluded. And I thought it was just me privately throwing tantrums about it in front of the cats. Why can't we see some of these documents? They say they're there, but they won't give it to us. Well, now we know why. On June 8th of 2023, a member of the media requested access to these excluded court records. I think it was that podcast. On June 28th, 2023, the trial court ruled on that motion and explained that all of the documents had been excluded from public access to comply with a court order dated December 2nd of 2022, which prohibits the public comment, commonly referred to as the gag order. But this gag order only governs extrajudicial comments and not court filings. Whoa, they even gagged the documents. Danielle Savoy says, you're not hurting our lawyer ears, lol. Sua sponte is exactly right. It means the judge did something of her own accord without being asked by the parties. Here it implies she went rogue. That's one way to put it. She did go rogue. Okay. So, as you can see, there's so much more I want to show you. So I'm really trying to like cherry pick the best of this because the documents are out there for you to read, but man, it's hard. I just love reading all of it. So we're just going to keep going a little bit here. The trial court then allowed the parties to agree to exclude the entirety of certain records from public access. They're like, you know what? We can't decide on which to include and not to. Let's just hide all of them. Okay. Even though both actions are prohibited by the access to court record rules. A court cannot exclude records otherwise accessible to the public because the parties agree to do so because the parties have entered into a trial rule 26C protective order. So, look there's the link, allensuperiorcourt.us.delphi. They say instead the trial court created a link, that was the link, uploaded a zip drive containing the 118 documents. Yeah, you can go there and get it now. Good luck with it though, because what they say next is true. Although the 118 documents were all filed sometime between April and June, every document in the zip drive has a date of 6/27/2023. More problematic, the file names have no clear identifying information to let someone know what that document actually is. And none of the exhibits to a particular filing are anywhere near the actual filings. Ladies and gentlemen, Exhibit A. It's like, oh dear, shame. This court is really under the microscope now. In the spotlight. Okay, so I just want to see what else I highlighted here, because that might help us, okay, in this document. Allen files a Frank's Memorandum of Law, and the trial court sua sponte removes it from the public CCS without notice. That whole document, the 136 pages, the Odenism thing, the judge is like, just remove that. On September 18th, 2023, Allen made what is known as a Frank's filing, wherein a defendant seeks to present evidence that the officer who prepared the probable cause affidavit misled the court to believe probable cause ever existed. They show it. The summary above shows that the memorandum was filed as a public document, but someone within the court has removed or excluded the 136-page Frank's memorandum from the CCS altogether, again, with no notice to Allen. Whoa, they just like pretend it never happened. The trial court attempts to effectuate the removal of Allen's chosen counsel over his objection and without his consent or approval. We've seen that. This letter was written by Richard Allen on October 11th. That hearing happened on October 19th. This unexpected turn of events. But yet on the 12th, Judge Gull said, just cease work on this case. We're going to have a hearing. Just everybody pause, listen, defense attorney, just stop working on the case. We'll see you on the 19th, okay? And on the 19th, basically corners them and says, you're either going to withdraw now or you're going to be publicly shamed and fired. You see all these cameras in the room? Yeah. Whole of law enforcement's here as well. Great. This is from Richard Allen. Dear Judge Gull, please accept this letter as confirmation that I have communicated with my attorney Bradley A. Rozzi regarding the circumstances regarding the leaking of sensitive information in this case. I am aware that images of crime scene photos and other related documents were taken by a friend and former employee of Attorney Baldwin at Attorney Baldwin's office. I have discussed with Attorney Rozzi the potential impact that the distribution of these documents could have on my defense. Attorney Rozzi has also communicated to me that the prosecutor has requested that my attorneys be disqualified from representing me in this case. I do not want this to happen. I want Mr. Baldwin and Mr. Rozzi to continue to represent me until this case is resolved one way or the other. I believe they are acting in a manner that is in my best interest. I appreciate your time and consideration in this matter. Respectfully submitted, Richard M. Allen. Sorry if I'm missing a whole bunch of your messages. I hope that you guys are chatting nicely to each other, though. I glance and I'm seeing your comments, but I can't see all of them, of course, because I'm like looking at all the saucy document drops, as Forensic Fuhrer says. Attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin also immediately informed the prosecutor and trial court of this theft. The trial court set a hearing for 2 p.m. on October 19th to discuss these recent developments, despite Allen's express instructions to the contrary on October 12th. There we go. The trial court, sua sponte, rogue judge, thank you to the lawyer said that, the rogue judge ordered attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin to cease work on Mr. Allen's case and scheduled an in-chambers meeting for October 19th, which we all saw, right? This 12:30 meeting is not noted anywhere. The meeting wasn't noted anywhere on the CCS. Prior to the meeting, Attorney Baldwin filed a memorandum explaining the circumstances regarding the photographs and the fact that not only was Attorney Baldwin snookered and abused and betrayed by the theft, but more important, nothing has been disclosed that won't be disclosed at trial or hearings. Which one could say is true, yes, because it's not nice that those photos are floating out there. But does it harm the case? Especially because they've already been floating out there before. I showed you evidence of that at the beginning of the stream. Joanna, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It must be very early for you. You're in Australia, right? Wow, thank you so much. And so, they say, Attorney Rozzi similarly provided the trial court with a letter outlining what had happened and enclosed the above letter from Allen stating he still wanted the attorneys as his attorneys. During that hearing, at the in-chambers meeting at which Allen was not present, even though he was in the courthouse and his presence had been requested, the trial court read a prepared statement to the attorneys accusing them of gross negligence in their capacity as Allen's counsel. They said, this is what the judge said was the gross negligence. Efforts by the defense to level the playing field with a press release after the prosecution filed multiple releases. Filing motions to protect Allen's basic human rights. Motions that the trial court either granted or that remain pending. Filing the Franks memorandum that the trial court believed contained improper statements. Filing a tort claim notice to preserve Allen's rights to seek redress from conditions and treatment related to his incarceration. And a third party's unauthorized photographing of crime scene evidence which neither attorney had knowledge of nor participated in. After reading from this prepared statement, the trial court then informed attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin they had two options. They voluntarily withdrew their appearances immediately, or the trial court would read the prepared statement into the record and then disqualify both attorneys in open court. Realize also, it means we're about to destroy your career. The 50 years you have between the two of you, we're going to destroy that in front of cameras. I mean, they can't do that. They can't be like, okay, let's go for it. There's a lot on the line for all of them, right? So they just said, whoa, as in Andrew Baldwin said, well, it's not voluntary. But okay, oral motion to withdraw then. And Bradley Rozzi said, in a few days, I will submit a written motion to withdraw, which he never did. He never submitted a written motion to withdraw. There was never a hearing to actually disqualify him. And so he's technically still Richard Allen's attorney. Renee says, for some hot tea. Thank you for reading all this. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, and so, we power reading the documents. I wouldn't recommend this at 2 times speed. You'll be like, what? Attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin were shocked and asked to meet with Allen before making any decisions. Allen reaffirmed he didn't believe attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin had engaged in any negligence, much less gross negligence. Okay, I get that he's the suspect, so I don't know if what he says holds the amount of weight that they're saying here, although he is the one who has the right to a fair trial. So it makes sense, actually. But I'm going to go forward now. I just want to see if there's something else I highlighted. There you go. Allen instructs his chosen counsel to make filings on his behalf, and the trial court orders the clerk to remove those filings from both the CCS and the electronic case file. I mean, that's just not normal. Asserting his Sixth Amendment rights, Allen has only consented and authorized attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin to represent him in the trial court below, and only they are authorized to make filings on his behalf in that court. As noted above, however, the trial court refuses to accept any filings made by these attorneys and orders the clerk to remove anything they file. They literally are like purging themselves of anything that these attorneys have done, which is not how it works in court. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's see what we got here. This one is 3 pages. I still want to show you the emails that went on between McCleland and Judge Gull and the attorneys. Okay, so we're still getting there. In the Supreme Court of Indiana, in case you didn't realize this has gone to the Supreme Court, they say permanent writ of mandamus and prohibition. The court grant, okay, so they say this original action, wait, this was filed on 10/30/2023. So we've read updated things since then, but this original action comes before the Supreme Court on the application of relator for a writ of mandamus and prohibition against respondents. After examining the application, the Supreme Court now, after examining the application and preliminary response and being advised in the premises, the court grants the application. It is therefore ordered that respondents, the Carroll County Circuit Court, and the Honorable Francis C. Gull, as special judge thereof, must, this is what they're already telling the judge to do, you must reinstate the following court records as publicly accessible documents on the CCS and the electronic case file. Allen's September 18th, 2023 Frank's Memorandum, Allen's October 25th, 2023 Verified Notice of Continuing Representation, Allen's October 25th, 2023 Motion to Disqualify, Allen's October 25th, 2023 Press subpoena for transcript, and Allen's October 26th, 2023 Motion for Continuance. The Supreme Court is saying, listen, you put those documents back on the court system. You can't just delete them. 2. May not order the removal of any court records filed in this case from the CCS and the electronic case file. So this is kind of a preview of what the judge will be facing with her own counsel, lawyer, Matthew Gutwein. They may not order the removal of any court records. They may not exclude from public access any court records without the requirements of the access to court records rules being satisfied, including but not limited to. Every court record excluded from public access must be accompanied by an ACR form identifying the specific Rule 5 grounds upon which the exclusion is based. You can't just decide to do it how you want. Unless everything in a court record can be properly excluded from public access, a public access version and a non-public access version of the document must be filed. Must make the 118 documents on the zip drive publicly accessible on the CCS itself. Must make the court records referenced in the June 28th, 2023 order that remain excluded from public access by agreement available for public access 72 hours after the writ is issued unless the requirements of Rule 6 are thereafter satisfied. And 6, must make the June 20th, 2023 filing by the Carroll County Sheriff and the July 5th, 2023 letter from a DOC inmate. Look at those two though. Just look at those two. I'm still waiting for those. If someone got those, point them out to me because there's a pile of documents. But look here. They must make the June 20th, 2023, that's quite a while ago, filing by the Carroll County Sheriff and the July 5th, 2023 letter from a Department of Corrections inmate available for public access 72 hours after the writ is issued, unless the requirements of Rule 6 are therefore satisfied. Why did they hide those two? Look at point 6. What are you hiding there? Yes, so Heather Yarn says, love your channel, long time lurker. I wonder who was threatening the original judge in this case and what the threats contained. I mean, they, at the time, made it sound like it was a YouTuber I don't believe that anymore. I think it was a lot bigger than a YouTuber. I think it's probably whatever's going on in the dark alleyways of Delphi. Something's happening there. Susie B, welcome. Thank you, mods, for everything you do. Everyone's saying you are the best mod, so I'm sure whatever's happening there, you got it. Okay, now let's go here. Wait, which is that? There's a big document somewhere. Oh yeah, okay, wait. What is this one? This one is 12 pages. You see, there's so many of these. Verified petition for writ of mandamus and prohibition. I think we've looked at one like this. Yeah, we looked at this one. Close it. Order granting withdrawal of counsel. Now this one, when was this filed? First day of November. Remember that David Hennessy, one of the top criminal defense attorneys in the country, I believe, had a limited counsel, limited appearance for Andrew Baldwin because of how it was going with Judge Gull, how she was treating the defense attorney, so he stepped up. Then it said, comes now David R. Hennessy, attorney of record for Andrew J. Baldwin, and having filed his withdrawal of limited appearance. So that's what he did on November 1st. At first I thought, I wonder why he's doing that. Obviously it was limited appearance, so now he's doing the proper paperwork to cease the limited appearance. But if you saw the October 19th footage where Richard Allen was walking out and then Attorney Baldwin walked out, he said, I'm sorry, the cats just entered the room. They're very naughty. They better not walk over the cables. He said, journalism, it's time you start doing it. That's what Andrew Baldwin said to the media. And this attorney Hennessy said, I can't make a comment until I withdraw. And I'm like, ooh. So now he's withdrawn from this limited appearance. And I'm like, now can he make a comment? And what does he have to say? Okay, so we've looked at that. I'm just going to close it so we can see what the heck's going on here. Order or judgment of the court. Let's just see. Yeah, okay. Court notes 2 pending motions. I just highlighted this for you. Motion to suppress and motion for a Frank's hearing. And will await a report from attorneys Scremen and Liberato and prosecuting attorney McCleland regarding hearing dates. I love that because how can they just say, well, that Frank's hearing is not happening. The suppression hearing, nope. See you in a year from now. No. They're holding them accountable, saying those things still need to happen. So that's interesting. Here is this limited appearance from Cora Schaefer Weinicke. Undersigned counsel will not accept service. Okay, so they limited appearance for the purpose of requesting transcripts. They requested the transcripts, ignored. Then Richard Allen got this limited appearance of another attorney, Cora Schaefer Weinicke, to get the transcripts. They still don't have the transcripts, by the way. This one is 3 pages. We're almost getting there to that big one. Where's the big one? It's coming up. Unopposed motion for extension of time to respond to petition for writs of mandamus and prohibition. Have we looked at this? 11/3/2023. It's just another, it's bullet points again of what they've done. Motion to disqualify. I'm not going to say anything about that now. I don't think I highlighted anything here. This was the motion to disqualify the judge and all the reasons they gave. This one, order judgment or judgment of the court. Defendant remains entitled to court-appointed counsel. Court appoints attorney Robert Scremen and attorney William Liberato as contract public defenders to represent the defendant. Counsel ordered to enter their appearances as public defenders on behalf of the defendant. And there we go, page 190. That's what I want to get to as well. And then we can wrap it up for the day because there's always so much to talk about. I'm glad we're getting through some of these things. Okay, Exhibit I. Exhibit India. Now, I've redacted as much as I can here. If there's any error in my redactions, know I tried my best, and the court released it with everything in it. Oh, the cell phone numbers and emails and all. Don't call, don't email these people. Leave them in peace. Let's do the right thing. Okay, so Andrew J. Baldwin from Francis Gull, Thursday, October 12th, 2023. 2. Nicholas McCleland, Brad Rozzi, Andrew J. Baldwin. Reply, urgent. Gentlemen, Judge Gull writes, gentlemen, this is her and McCleland they speak the same way, but okay. Gentlemen, this is beyond tragic. That's when we're going to go through it. They notified Judge Gull that there's been a leak of information from Baldwin's office. There were 3 disseminators. They explained the whole thing. They were transparent with it. Gentlemen, this is beyond tragic. Once again, I'm at a loss for words. I'm deeply concerned that Mr. Allen's defense is being compromised by all these recent events. I will have my staff schedule a hearing in Fort Wayne for next Thursday, October 19th, 2023 at 2 p.m. to discuss these recent developments and the upcoming hearing on October 31st. I will have a transport order prepared to get Mr. Allen to the hearing. Please arrange your schedules accordingly to appear in Allen's Superior Court. Mr. Rozzi and Mr. Baldwin, please cease work on Mr. Allen's case until we meet on the 19th. That doesn't sound like what happened on the 19th, you know what I mean? It sounds like, oh, okay, everybody, time out, see you on the 19th. Let's discuss these recent matters. When they got there, there was the entire fleet of law enforcement and cameras, national media, cameras for the first time allowed by Judge Gull. Even though the Attorney General said from May 1st there's a new rule, you're allowed to have cameras in the courtroom, and he really hopes that judges will use that 2023, like new technology. Okay. So you could just see the tone of the email, right? It doesn't sound like what eventually happened. They also show here, caution, this email originated from outside. They show you, if you get this email in error, delete what you got, which kind of protects Attorney Baldwin for that one time. He typed in a different Brad, not Bradley Rozzi. He sent it to some other Brad. Okay. This one, okay, what was that date again? I redacted it all out because I was so scared of showing any numbers or emails. Around the same time. Yes, okay, wait. Nicholas McCleland. Yes, okay. Judge and gentlemen. This is from McCleland, okay, to Judge Gull, CCing in the defense attorneys. It is currently 3:53 a.m. and I just got off the phone with ISP. From the phone conference that the 4 of us had on Tuesday afternoon, October 10th, Andy Baldwin informed us that Mitch Westerman, that name is out there, people put the picture out there, normally I would redact that, but everybody knows the leaker now, that Mitch Westerman, we saw the affidavit as well, went into his conference room sometime in August and took pictures of evidence in this case and then leaked or forwarded those pictures to an individual by the name of Robert Fortson. Robert Fortson then leaked or forwarded them on down the chain, and eventually it was made public that the documents were leaked. Robert F. Lives in Fishers, Indiana, and is employed as a civilian Title 32 technician at the Fort Wayne U.S. Air Force Base. As part of the investigation, an ISP detective went to the Air Force Base in Fort Wayne to interview Robert F. on Tuesday afternoon to get a statement from him about the leaked information. The goal was, 1, gather the photos that he had and make sure they were deleted from his phone, and 2, find out who gave him the photos and who he gave the photos to. Robert F. met with ISP detective but refused to answer any questions and stated that he wanted an attorney. The thing is, why would they immediately, is that normal? I don't know. Like they go to the Air Force Base, they went to his work. Can't you just call him and say, hey, we want to talk to you about this. Can you come in, please? I don't know. So they said he didn't want to answer questions. He wanted an attorney. Soon after we had our phone conference between the 4 of us. At 10 p.m. last night, Robert F. committed suicide. 1 self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, maybe it's protocol to say it there on these emails in case the emails ever come out like this, but I'm just like, you had to clarify, huh? Because everybody did wonder, but okay, sir. He is married and has a teenage daughter. The initial information that I have is that his wife stated that he was worried sick about being in the situation, and the last info that I have is that Robert stated to his wife, if I just be honest or come clean about where I got the photos, I will be okay. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate way to notify everyone of this, but it's 4 a.m. and this is the latest in the bizarre twists in this case. This is getting serious and way out of control, gentlemen. If you have additional information about this leak, please forward it on to me or ISP Detective Holman immediately. I do not want to get another phone call like this that Mitch or someone else involved in this leak has hurt themselves or someone else. I am up if anyone needs to call me. My cell number is, and see that was not redacted. Thank you, and I apologize about the email. Red Car Girl says, question, do you have access to a photo of law enforcement seated in the jury box? We have the footage. We've seen the footage. It's from the hearing where we saw Judge Gull talk. We looked at it in the last stream. They were all there. Yes. Yeah, Carrie, they are. They're not chronological now. I'm just showing you from the top there because I redacted from the top. So one could actually start from the bottom of the document. You're correct. And so this one was on October 8th, 2023. Let's just see if we go down a little bit. This one was from October 6th, I believe. This one. Okay. Good afternoon, Judge. This is from Bradley Rozzi to the judge. I think this one was on October 6th. I say I think because I redacted it all out there to be safe. Good afternoon, Judge. Andy and I wanted to touch base with you before the end of the work week. The issue revolves around the possibility that some of the crime scene photos have been leaked, so to speak, and are in the hands of the public. Ironically, one YouTuber and a podcast who are friends and I think live next to each other. But okay. The issue revolves around the possibility that some of the crime scene photos have been leaked, so to speak, and are in the hands of the public. There is most certainly a photo of the F tree that's floating around in public, and has been for a long time because renditions were made and shown on court TV long before this happened. I'm just adding that to myself there. Okay. The photo itself is not overly disturbing, but the concept that it is in the hands of the public is of concern. I think it's the F tree, I don't like calling it that, but the tree that looks like it's got a marking of F in blood on it. That's what it seems like it could be. I think that's what leaked by the sounds of it. Okay. And the other guy that we saw the clip at the beginning that said he had crime scene photos from December 3rd of 2022, he had everything. He was talking about one victim was nude and one victim was this and SA and all kinds of stuff. So that guy is way more than what it sounds like this leaker had, right? So they said of greater concern is the fact that a local content creator by the name of Rixney, channel Delphi After Dark, right, has apparently communicated to the public that he has copies of the crime scene photos. Now, this is what the defense is raising as a concern. I wonder if the defense knew at the time how many others had already said, I've got them. You know what I mean? Over the years, there were many that's like, some people think it's really cool to have them. Even after this leak, some people went out of their way to get them so that they could show off or something. Like, I also have them. I mean, why do you want to win that? You don't need to have them. Anyway, so moving on, they said of greater concern, okay, has apparently communicated to the public that he has copies of the crime scene photos. I'm attaching a copy of the communication that was forwarded to one of our staff members by an uninvolved third party. We just learned of this in the last hour. I immediately called Nick McCleland, the prosecutor, and informed him of the circumstance. The defense called the prosecutor. They did the right thing. And what did the prosecutor say? Turns out, Nick has known about this for the past 24 to 30 hours or so. What about the other 5 years? He informed me that they are looking into the matter. The primary purpose of this email is to communicate our concerns with the situation. We most certainly did not leak this information. We wanted to make sure that we got out ahead of this and informed the court as well as Nick in the event these pictures found their way on the internet. They were already there. This might be a circumstance which requires the court's attention. I say that in terms of conducting some inquiry into the source of this information leak. Otherwise, Andy and I are both available for a phone call if necessary. Nick informed me earlier that he too is available for a phone call throughout the weekend if necessary. We await your response. Okay, and then this says, good morning, gentlemen, from Francis Gull. Thank you for passing this troubling information along to me. I am quite disturbed by this new development. Since Nick has been made aware of this information, I am making some assumptions that I would like a response to. I assume that law enforcement is investigating. I will say this again. I said in the last stream about Delphi, don't assume in a true crime case, especially not if you're a judge. Don't assume, follow up. I assume that law enforcement is investigating. I assume the local contact creator, Rixney, has been interviewed. I assume the individuals named Anya and Kevin from the Murder Sheet podcast have been interviewed. I assume law enforcement has demanded the return of the photographs in the possession of Rixney, Anya, and Kevin. Anya and Kevin from Murder Sheet podcast said that they went there. They were the ones that called Jerry Holman, said, listen, we've got these photos, and we got it from him, we got it from him and him and him. And so they went there and sat down, and they were asked to delete the photos while they sat there, and that was that. But how do they not know that any of these people don't still have copies at home on a flash drive, for all we know, or in the cloud? I don't know. So that's why the judge is assuming that this is all being investigated. I assume that Brad and Andy have provided the name of their staff member and the uninvolved third party to Nick for interview by law enforcement. I recall our communication back in December 2022 regarding an email from Andy to Brad which contained discovery information but was sent to the wrong Brad in Andy's address book. Has that individual been interviewed? Could that be the source of the leak? Oh, just to bring that up as well, you know. I am also recalling a bill I received from Brad and Andy for the duplication of exhibits by a vendor which I disallowed. Is it possible that vendor is involved? Brad and Andy should share the name of that vendor and the date that vendor was hired to Nick and or law enforcement for investigation as a possible source of the leak. These local content creators are not journalists and have no right to claim any type of privilege. Yeah, okay. That's right. Stefan was wondering what a contact creator is doing. These freaking YouTubers. Those contact creators. Okay, these local content creators are not journalists, but the murder sheet are. I think one of them is a lawyer, right? And they say they're journalists, but they're like, they aren't journalists. They've got no right to claim any type of privilege. But the judge allowed one of their motions, they granted one of them to unseal a certain document back in the day, a couple of months ago. So then they were journalists. They've actually been journalists all along. So to say this is just like, come on. They should divulge to law enforcement who they got these photographs from to allow law enforcement to continue to investigate. The photographs must be returned to law enforcement. If they refuse to turn them over voluntarily, I will issue an order directing the immediate return, or they will be subject to contempt of court. That contempt will result in an immediate arrest and incarceration until such time as the photographs are returned. She's like, you know what? Did we get the photos from them? Are you sure they deleted it? Because otherwise I'm throwing them in jail. Again, a bit of a rogue judge, you know? That contempt will result. Okay, this is a drastic measure I should not have to take, but will if necessary. Each of you have numerous staff and assistants helping you with your work. I'm also assuming that you all trust those individuals to maintain the integrity of the case and that you are confident none of those individuals are involved. Please let me know at your earliest convenience what your thoughts are about moving forward. And why do you want to hear their thoughts? Because all you're going to do is fire their asses. And then this one was from Nicholas McCleland. Oh, we read that one. That's the one we read. When he's like, Judge and gentlemen. It's so hectic. I says there. Wait, where's that one? He's like, gentlemen, things are getting serious. They were very serious already. Wait. He says, this is getting serious and way out of control, gentlemen. It's always been serious and way out of control. It's always been a little bit shady, right? So, yeah. And then Judge Gull said on October 12th to cease working there. Deeply concerned that Mr. Allen's defense is being compromised by all these recent events. Why is that? How would it affect it? I don't know. Okay. So, Caroline said a trial serves as an examination of everybody in the case, not that just the defendant. That's true. That is true. Yeah, Patches says she doubled down. She doubled down. Just like all the gentlemen. Wow. Yeah, so these are the emails I wanted to show you. This document is 240 pages long. It says, in the Supreme Court of Indiana, the state of Indiana on the relation of Richard Allen, relator, versus the Carroll Circuit Court and the Honorable Francis C. Gull, Special Judge. And you can see the record of proceedings. Look at it. This document, now this is voluminous. This is voluminous. There's how many exhibits? Well, it goes all the way. We were at J there. It goes further down. And you can see how everything was filed. They've got a record of it all here now, of course. They did a really thorough job. Goodness. So, yeah. This is why we're not reading through all of this, because look at it. Let's look at Exhibit C. What is it? All of the things. So I think I've shown you everything I wanted to show you. For now. Of course, there's so much we could still talk about at all times. But yes. Yeah. S. Mike, is it Smike or S. Mike plays? You say, fair trial, please. I agree with you. Hawk I says a system within the system, shaking my head. Right? Rob says Gull is on a power trip. Well, she's going to the Supreme Court now. Danny Scales reminds Diane that no one wants RA to get off. We want a fair trial. Yeah, I'm never too sure. I feel like people need to watch more of this content and read through more of the documents to really be on the same page of what we're talking about here. Because we're not like, and not once have I said, Richard Allen is innocent, we need to get him out of there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's innocent until proven guilty. He's the suspect they arrested and had a whole press conference over and were relieved about. Okay, I'm not saying get him out of there right now. Maybe put him in a jail like every other person who has to face a trial. He's innocent until proven guilty. That's it. But there must be a fair trial and things must be done properly. And there can't just be hidden documents just because they want to hide some documents. I mean, what is the reason? That's what I worry about. What is the reason? Even when McCleland was like, no, we can't release the probable cause affidavit. Why? If it really was to protect the witnesses who were teenagers at the time, I believe some could still be minors, then redact it. Release a redacted version. There's years of experience worldwide and in the USA, of course, countrywide. You can look at other states and be like, how do they do it? Okay. You know what I mean? How do they do it? Oh, okay, they redact and then they can release a redacted version. That's okay. You don't have to hide things because the hiding doesn't make the public feel like they can trust you. And that's so sad. It's so unfortunate. One should be able to trust the prosecution, right? And the judge and the court system. That's normally how it would go. In this case, it's really like the other way around. Like, what is going on here? Why are you being so shady? So, and then people get more and more curious and there's more and more pressure. And then, unfortunately, yeah, it's just like, what a mess this is now. Objection Cake says, prepare for the emails now saying, how dare you? Yes, I'm going to be shamed for even saying that, like, hello, this is about the victims and their families. You do not want a mistrial. You want Richard Allen to have a fair trial. And I would love to see, are they going to arrest anyone else because they've always alluded to it? Or are they now going with, this is the guy, the only guy, this is who we have, that's it. Because they definitely say things that don't sound like that. If you want to check again, check the case file. It's in the description box for you. It's on the playlist for you. Lots of document read-throughs. If you felt a little overwhelmed today of like, oh man, where are we at with all this? Just go and check out some of the episodes we've already done that's on the playlist. There's lots where I've actually, we've had lots of presentations, lots of breakdowns of information, bullet points, maps, the whole lot. This was really just a, news of documents, and that was quite long. That was quite long, I think, that I went on there. I don't know if it's going to be all day or what. It's over 2 hours now. So thank you so much. If you stayed here the whole time, wow, thank you. Really appreciate it. If you are a replay watcher and you made it all the way to here, thank you so much. That is so awesome. I will be now doing timestamps as I always do so that I can, put some key moments in for you for replay watchers, especially if you were here the whole time and you just want to see some of those points again or some of the documents that I showed. I will put in the timestamps for you in the pinned comments in the description box, or you can hover over the video and you should see it there. Thank you for all your emails and continue to send me things. It's always very interesting. I'll continue. I'm keeping a very close eye on this case, of course. And let's see what happens. I mean, today's already November 6th. That hearing is on November 16th. So before we know it, we'll be there. And let's see what happens there. Veronica says a fair trial is the best way for no appeal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, mods. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's made it over to Patreon. That's a really great source of support. They really support content creators. And yeah, just thanks everyone for everything. Really appreciate it. Just watching my videos is a great source of support too. Please continue to like and share, get this information out. I don't know if everyone's going to read through all these documents, and it's a rabbit hole, as I say, and highlight certain points. It's almost like I wish I could read them all to you from the top, but we would be here for 24 hours straight. So I appreciate your time here with me, and I will see you again in the next one. This stream will teleport you to the next one, which is tomorrow, where we continue with day 10 of the Jesse Krzyzewski trial. If you haven't been watching that with us, please go check out day 1. You'll see a presentation there. It's timestamped for you. That'll pretty much catch you up on what the case is even about, and then you could just join in, because it's, again, more police interviews that we'll be watching. I would highly recommend checking out day 9 if you are interested in police interviews. We saw a lot of that. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow again. I'll see you for that. Thank you so much, and bye for now, everyone.